People that have had a threesome and regretting it. What was the unexpected fallout? Story 1. Kind of the opposite happened to me. My girlfriend at the time was hanging out in her bedroom with her roommate. I was watching TV in the living room. Her roommate comes out of the bedroom wearing a sheet. She looks at me and says, "We're having spicy time back here. You should join us," and dropped the sheet. She was physically attractive, but I didn't like her personality at all. I said no. She shrugged, then went back into the bedroom. They were there a good hour or so when my girlfriend came out naked and crying. She kept apologizing for cheating on me. I told her it was okay. I understood. Everything was going to be all right. About 2 weeks later, she dumped me. She said she couldn't trust me because I didn't sleep with her roommate. She dumped me at my birthday party. She slept with my best friend that night in the room next to where I was sleeping, then came in afterwards to make sure I heard it and knew what was happening. She asked if I was okay. I said no. She started laughing. We were all sleeping in a cabin in the woods, and I was drunk as hell. So I walked away. I never talked to those jerkwads again. I figure I got about 10 miles out and passed out on the side of the road. Woke up when a couple of good old boys tossed me in the back of their truck. They were going to drive me to the hospital, but I told them what happened and they drove me home. About 2 hours away. I gave them $20 for gas and they turned it down. This is what happens when you don't communicate. I'm sure many of us expect guys to just leap into a threesome, but this girl didn't think through what would happen if he said no. She kinda sounds a bit unhinged, actually. This guy definitely dodged a bullet getting dumped by her. Story 2. I was one of the Fs in an FMF with my now ex-fiancé and now ex-mutual friend. I was pressured into it and did it to shut him up. He was constantly whining and begging to sleep with other people, but only wanted another F for a threesome. He's bi, but couldn't stand the thought of any sausage but his being near me. I figured I had to do it. I should do it with a friend I liked, respected, and trusted. Well, she was as nice as could be during, but fiancé violated boundaries and rules at every possible turn. It wasn't about us. It was about him. I finally told him to hurry up and finish so the nightmare could be over. The next morning, things were very awkward between my friend and I, and the friendship was just never the same after, and we eventually drifted apart. As for the relationship between my now ex and I, it was one more checkmark on his long grocery list of douchebaggery that contributed to our demise. The other threesome I had with my now husband was much better. I paid for a professional escort for my anniversary gift of a threesome to him. I don't like threesomes at all. No interest in an MFM, MMF, or FFM either. But it gives me pleasure to make my partner happy. She did what I paid her for well, and there were no emotions or awkwardness once it was over. Night and day difference between taking the free route with someone you know and the paid route with a professional. No such thing as free when you bring someone else into the bedroom. You will pay, in some form or fashion. I prefer to use my wallet. I'm actually surprised this person would be open to another experience after the last one. Again, it goes back to communication. The difference when you discuss and take each other's feelings into account and want to make the other person happy. There has to be trust in doing something like this. Story 3. I didn't regret it, but I know one member of our party did. When I was 19 or 20, I had a jerkwad boyfriend. It started out as one of those, "What is your ultimate fantasy?" conversations. And he said to be with 2 girls at once. I laughed it off, and he asked if I'd ever considered it. The relationship was relatively new, and I wanted him to like me. So I said that I guessed so. He took that as a green light to start constantly harassing me about it. Whenever we were in public, "What about her? What about her?" asking me how I felt about sleeping with a remotely attractive girl we saw around our age. It was really annoying. And I'm sure a lot of people in our circle of friends thought we were creeps because he asked anyone with a vagina to sleep with us. We met a girl working at a gas station one night, and he tells her, "I don't have many friends. Could we all hang out sometime?" She was really cool, and she hung out with us. When he propositioned her about the threesome, she laughed it off and said she would if she didn't have a boyfriend. I didn't take her seriously at the time. Fast forward a few months, and she's actually becoming one of my best friends. She and her boyfriend break up, and what do you know? My creep of a boyfriend remembers what she said and brings up the threesome almost immediately. She tells us she's not up to it, but he keeps bothering her. I forget how much time passes, but she agrees to it, and we decide we'll do it as a birthday gift to him. Sorry for the long post, but knowing what a creep he was about it makes the ending that much better. So the day comes, and I take her to the mall to buy us matching outfits. We get ready together and are drinking wine in the bedroom when we invite him to bed. It starts out hot and everything, but he starts sweating like crazy and can't get his sausage hard. He jumps up and runs to the bathroom and pukes his guts out. Just horrible projectile vomiting that makes your throat burn and takes a physical toll on your core. Turns out he was worried about lasting a long time for both of us, which was odd in the first place because he had never had a problem lasting long before. He had bought some of those cheap gas station supplements. They're supposed to make your sausage harder and last longer. They made him super ill for the entire night and next day. He spent the night trembling on the couch while my friend and I kept drinking and slept together in her bed. I felt bad at the time, but he went on to be super abusive and even tried to unalive me. So this memory is all the more sweeter now. Me and the girl are still best friends to this day, so silver lining. I think the girl made a mistake by saying she was okay with the threesome. She sounded apprehensive about it. Plus, this was at the beginning of the relationship, so they're still trying to get to know each other, so that kind of subject can get awkward. Having said that, the guy here is completely in the wrong. It seems like all he was interested in was fulfilling his own wants. I'm sure he never even asked what her fantasy was. I'm sure it never even crossed his mind. Story 4. I was asked by my girlfriend to have a threesome with her and her best friend, a friend I had known for a long time and who had actually introduced us. A couple of minutes into it, I realized that my girlfriend was not remotely interested and had pulled back, which made it awkward because I was not remotely interested in my friend sexually. I only agreed to it because my girlfriend asked, and she had been a little distant lately. I thought it might help rekindle the relationship. I carried on and did my best to make my friend happy, and then all of a sudden my girlfriend stood up and said, "Looks like you two are good. I'll leave you to it." I stopped what I was doing and asked what the hell was going on, and eventually they explained that the whole thing was a scheme for my girlfriend to break up with me and pass me over to her best friend, who apparently had a crush on me. Needless to say, this did not go well, and I ended up losing both of them from my life. This is the theme you're going to hear again, folks. Communication. Everybody thinks guys are just going to jump at the chance to be spicy when clearly it isn't the case. She actually thought she would just do a spicy handoff and be done with it. She could have just had a conversation at a coffee shop and it would have been quicker. Story 5. Killed a relationship with jealousy. My girlfriend invited a female friend over as a birthday present, and we all had a fun time. Note, it was not my idea. I didn't push for it or ask for it. I only said yes when she sprung it on me the day it occurred because, while I'm not weak-willed, there is a threshold for temptation, and the situation met it. Afterwards, my girlfriend was jealous of me spending time with any female friends, hers or mine. This included my butch lesbian friend, who I have zero romantic or sexual chemistry with. It got to the point where my girlfriend was throwing a fit if I went to see a freaking movie with a group of friends that had any single woman in it. Finally, she told me that I had to cut out any non-related women in my life. Obviously, I said hell no, and we broke up. This girl really didn't think this through. The guy seemed happy with what he had, and this was her idea? There should have been some kind of conversation beforehand about all this. Story 6. This is my time to shine. When I was 19, I, female, was invited by a couple to participate in a threesome. They were both super hot, so I was pumped. So it starts and everything is going fine, we're all touching each other, whatever. We get into a position where I'm sitting on her face while she lays on her back and her boyfriend does her missionary. All good, until the boyfriend kinda shoved me off her. I was like, what the hell? Then she gets up and her face is absolutely covered in blood. Like a lion after eating a zebra blood. It's literally everywhere. The sheets, the pillows, her face, her hands, you get the point. Turns out she sliced the inside of my vagina with her very sharp acrylic nails. They look very nice, just didn't feel the best against my fragile vagina membrane, and I was bleeding profusely. I cleaned myself off and was like, I'm gonna go. And they were like, bye. It's still one of my absolute favorite stories ever. Well, at least there wasn't any emotional injury. Everyone seemed okay with having fun together, so I think this is the first story that's like that. But yeah, hygiene is important in more than one way, and being careful.